Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 10 of 2021. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at The Odds Breakers. Follow us on social media /The Odds Breakers. This episode is being brought to you by MyBookie.ag. For a 200% sign-up bonus, please visit MyBookie and use the promo code The Odds Breakers. Terms and conditions apply. If you'd like to help us out with our costs and sponsor the website and the podcast, we'd love to help you out. Please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, and become a member. For $24.99 a month, you can get my premium plays before the line moves. If nothing else, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, become a free picks newsletter subscriber. My friends, we keep rolling with Super Bowl props and plays for you guys. And obviously, this is our late week basketball podcast as well. And I'm excited to announce that we have Mr. Raphael Esparza, handicapper for Doc Sports, bookmaker for MyBookie, to come on and break down all this Super Bowl fun and, of course, a couple college basketball games. So very excited to get into that. Before we get into that, I'd like to quick discuss that trade that happened. Matt Stafford for Jared Goff and a bunch of first-round picks. Now, you might think it's a ton to give up for a guy like Matt Stafford, and you're losing your quarterback, Jared Goff. You're losing two number one picks, 2022, 2023. 2021, 2022. Draft hasn't happened yet. And Jared Goff and a third rounder. Well, I mean, the truth of it is Goff really that big of an addition? I mean, if you're not a caliber of a starting quarterback, which the Rams finally looked at Goff and said you're not, does it even matter? I mean, it's just mostly the ability for them to dump salary. And the Lions look at it like this. Well, we get Jared Goff. We're probably going to tank for a couple of years. I mean, not necessarily try to tank, but they want to, try to collect as many draft picks as possible, and then take a shot with a guy that maybe, who knows, maybe he'll decide to be good and your team will end up being better before you know it. So there's a little upside there for the Lions, but Goff didn't mean much to this trade except for the fact that the Lions are, doing them a favor by taking some of that salary, obviously. So the way you look at it, the Rams, they have to go for it now. Their guys are getting older. Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, some of the receivers are in their primes. You want to use them in their primes with a decent quarterback like Matt Stafford. Now, unfortunately, someone better wasn't necessarily available. Stafford is shown to be better than Goff, especially when he's throwing down the field and the plays are completely scripted like McVay has done. So that's what McVay's looking for, is somebody that can do that. And in my opinion, it's the right move. It was the right move for really both teams because you weren't going anywhere with Stafford. You might as well blow it up again. First of all, I was against the Matt Patricia hire in the first place. I mean, I think they screwed up back then. But you might as well just try to kind of rebuild, keep some of your draft picks, and trade some of the guys that you can get something for and see what you can get within the next few years if you're the Lions. But if you're the Rams, you have to win now. Now, would Deshaun Watson been better? Maybe. I mean, Deshaun Watson is younger. You'd keep him a lot longer. But, the Rams are trying to win right now. And Stafford definitely has a few years left of his life. Maybe even if he's more like Tom Brady or Drew Brees, he's got, 5, 6, 7 years at least left, right? So as far as Jared Goff, I mean, it must suck to be him. You get traded, you look at yourself as a Super Bowl quarterback, but I think most of the people that know football and analyze football just know that they're going to the Super Bowl with, it wasn't because of Goff that they're going to the Super Bowl. He didn't really kick in a lot. He just kind of managed the games a little bit. So Goff is kind of looking at it like, oh man, I can't believe I got traded to the Lions for Stafford plus 2 first rounders. Well, the trade itself was basically just 2 first rounders and a third round pick. I'm not even counting Goff in the trade. They just pretty much let go of Goff is what I'm trying to say. So I think it was the right move, even though the Rams haven't had a top draft pick in a long time. Now, if this Stafford thing doesn't work out in 2 to 3 years, he's toast, and so is the rest of the team. They will completely rebuild anyway, and then they'll start building up their draft picks. Right now, trying to win right now, probably the right move. So that's my opinion on this trade, and we'll see if there's any other big blockbuster trades coming up, because a lot of quarterbacks aren't happy, and there's just a lot of people kind of coming up for free agency here. I mean, you have the Bears situation, you have Sam Darnold, the Jets, you have the Jaguars. There's going to be some movement for sure. All right. Before Raphael comes on, let's get into our regression candidates for, well, this coming weekend or their next games. Going to start out with team shooting percentage. Who shot out of their minds last week that normally doesn't shoot that well? We'll go right to Western Illinois, 58.5%. And they only average 40.1%. They're a regression candidate. Nebraska, Omaha, 57.1% they shot, and they only average 41.3 per shot. That's a pretty big one. Cal State Bakersfield, 55.2%, and they only average 42.7%. And Miami shot 52.5%, and they only average 43.3%. That was that Duke game that they couldn't miss. Always nice when Duke loses, right? St. Mary's, 52.1%, and they only average 43.6%. And those are the candidates on that side. Let's see some candidates that didn't shoot well, that average well. LSU shot 30.8% their last game, and they averaged 46%. Winthrop shot 31.9%, and they only averaged 46.2%. Maybe you'll be on Winthrop next game. We have Tennessee shot 35.6%, and they averaged 44.7%. McNeese State shot 35.7%, and they averaged 45.6%. And UCLA shot 32.7%, and they averaged 45.5%. Let's move on to the next one. Opponent 3-point percent their last 3 games. Looks like Wake Forest was getting pelted by threes. 49.1% their opponents shot, and they normally hold them to 36.8%. There's a big discrepancy there. Looks like Winthrop team shot 45.1%, and they allow opponents normally 33.7%. Washington State team shot 44.6%, and they normally only allow 31.1%. West Virginia team shot 43.3%, and they only allow 31%. Next one, we're going to go to opponent free throw percentage. Last 3 games, Jacksonville opponents are shooting over 90%, 90.5% from free throw. Oregon opponents are shooting 88.2% their last 3 games from free throw. And you have Penn State opponents are shooting 86.7% free throw. And Hofstra, 86.7% as well. South Alabama at 86%. NC State at 85.4%. So hopefully they'll get some better free throw luck the next few games. Now, it's time to get into some Super Bowl props in action with our guy from Doc Sports, Mr. Raphael Esparza. Now I'm happy to welcome back a fantastic sports bettor who works on both sides of the window. You know him from his handicapping for MyBookie.com and working at Doc Sports. I am happy to bring back Mr. Raphael Esparza to the Odds Breakers. You can follow him on Twitter at VSI.Sports. Raphael, the last time we talked was during the season, and now we're to the very end. Woe is us, my man. How are things going?
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought we would have seen an end? there were some days I didn't think we were going to see a Super Bowl, and here we go. I'm just glad that we got to cash that over under how many fans were going to be in the stands. I put that prop out early in the season, 20,000 over under, and everyone bet the under on that one. So thank you, Vaccine, and the free people who got tickets to go watch the game, because we were able to cash that ticket. But yeah, Super Bowl Sunday's here. I mean, it pretty much starts for me and for the betting world. I mean, pretty much Friday night. I mean, that's Super Bowl weekend, and who'd have thought Friday night? Who's jacked up to watch Knuckle Mania as Paige Van Zandt jumps in the ring as her first fight in bare knuckle fighting in UFC Vegas 18 on Saturday, College Hoops All Day Saturday, and then the big day of Puppy Bowl and Super Bowl.
Well, there you go, man. Looks like you're promoting a few other fun things going on too. I like it. I'm going to be into that UFC card a little bit on Saturday. I've already have one fighter I really, really like. Hint, hint. And we'll discuss that later. But how many tickets are they allowing in the stadium?
I heard about 25 to 30. I would not be shocked. This is Florida we're talking about. They don't think COVID exists there. I wouldn't be shocked if it's 40,000 in the stands. And they said, we're not going to shoot off the cannons. So it doesn't matter if you're not going to shoot off the canyons. You're going to have probably 30,000 plus. But I'm hearing most of them are going to be vaccinated, so I guess that's good.
Oh, that's really good. If that's the case. I mean, you don't want to spread any diseases around. That's for sure. So let's move forward here. Hopefully by summer we'll get back to normal. It'd be nice to go to a baseball game again, right?
That would be my dream, is to be able to go to a baseball game this summer. I don't care if it's AAA, Little League. I don't care. I just want to see a live baseball game. That'd be fantastic.
Oh man, get a beer, get some nachos, get a hot dog. Oh, for sure, man. Sit outside. That's just relaxing to me right there. Oh, hopefully it happens. Well, we have a lot to discuss here. We're going to do a little college basketball at the end. And of course, since you're the odds maker, I have some great questions for you. Why don't we just start out with the line itself on the Super Bowl? I mean, we're looking at -3, and now it's like about -115 on a lot of books on the Chiefs, and we're looking around 56, a little shade to the under. Do you agree with this line, or where do you think it should be?
I do. I mean, I kind of understand why some people had 3.5, or even some books I heard had 4 when they first opened up. But I just think they were just trying to get that Tampa Bay money right away, because they figured Joe Public and the rest of the people are going to be betting Baby Goat, trying to see if he can go back-to-back to win a Super Bowl. So they just wanted that Tampa Bay money right away. We got that Tampa Bay money. We're actually over at my book here. I think last time I checked, still had 3.5, because we couldn't beg for the other side. Little bit shocked on the total. Last 48 hours, I'm hearing some under money keeps on coming in. I hope that's not the case, since I'll be the only male in the United States that won't have an adult beverage in his system. So I want to see touchdowns while I'm watching the game and grading some prop bets. So I'm hoping that sharp money on the under is false, because I want to see some points scored in this game.
So there has been a little sharps on the under.
Yeah, well, I've seen some. I've talked to some people around in Vegas, talked to some people globally, and they said some under money's coming. That's why yesterday we saw a couple of shops move it to 55.5, and then they moved it back to 56 because they got that over money. But yeah, some sharps coming in on the under.
Okay, so a little both side though, but mostly the under. It sounds like. Does my bookie give you that info, or are they just making you do their handicaps and their for the games?
I get to see what happens behind the scene, stuff like that. So I'm not totally dark. I try not to look at it too much, because as I tell people, it's overwhelming so much when you see what goes on in Vegas and behind the scenes in Nevada, where you see the handle coming in, and then you look at a global book. It's just it's mind-boggling. So I try not to look at it too much, because I hate to pick up my jaw off the floor half the day.
I bet, man. And plus, it just you don't want to be talked off a good play just because a little bit of money's going towards it too. I disagree a lot of times, with the money, and I feel like I'm right a lot when I do that. Now I use it as kind of like a notification, like popping up on your phone, or maybe a letdown spot or revenge or something. I'll look at it like that a little bit, not a huge part of my handicap, but I pay attention to it. And if it's overwhelming, then I really dig deeper, so you're right there.
I told you this, but when I used to work over at MGM and all that, I was a closing a supervisor and admin all the time, and I would always on NFL Sunday go down the list of bet numbers, and I would write all, and I would see the percentage of what the public's betting on, and I would write it, and I would go fade the public every day. I would bet like every game, like just $10 just to see how it would go, and I would win almost every Sunday if you did that.
Oh yeah, especially in the past now, but it's gotten a little tighter since we've seen people winning the contest and some stuff like that, especially in the NFL. I think you definitely find some better angles in the college side and some of the other sports that people like to bet. But anyways, are you going to make a bet on the Super Bowl?
I do. I'm one of those fortunate ones that has that half a point on Tampa. I have tried to beat Tom Brady in Super Bowls year after years after years, and I have. When everyone was hoarding toilet paper, I had scrap paper from bets from trying to beat Tom Brady, so I didn't run out of toilet paper. So I'm going to try to beat him. I'm going to try to go with him. I like Tampa Bay's defense. This one I get. Shop around if you can grab that 3.5. There's one out there. There's not that many. I would say maybe less than 10% to have that one. But if you want to wait, maybe you get lucky and it moves again. But I like that half a point, so I took the 3.5, and I'll probably end up daggling a little bit with the with the over. I'm sorry, just because I have a feeling we're going to see a lot of points in this one. Then I have some prop bets. I don't go too crazy on prop bets. I'm a big cross sports prop better, so I have some action on that one.
Ooh, I'm excited to get into that. Yeah, we got to get into that a little bit for sure. For me, I like the first half under. I think it's going to stay under the 28. The weather concerns me a little bit, so I don't have a problem with 27.5, really. I think I keep looking at it, and I keep seeing rain, and 27.5 still pretty high. Yeah, you can wait to get a 28, but I'm not minding that first half under at all. And I think and I always play the first half under, second half over, and it's been winning a lot over the years. But my question for you is when's the best time to play the unders if you're trying to fade? If you think public action is going to go on the over, sometimes I've noticed that waiting too long, some of the big money will come in on some of those unders and move it down lower than it was on Saturday.
I think for the Super Bowl, just get your bet in. I would say try to get him in by Saturday because you're not going to see that big of a huge movement on Sunday during a Super Bowl. Now, if we're talking March Madness or NFC, AFC Championship, you might see some line movement just because you have two games. Teasers and parlays are always involved in some kind of a line movement if needed. But one game, I think me and you both could agree. If the total moves, it's either going to move 56 or 55.5. I don't see 55. And I don't see going off to 56.5. I just think those two numbers. And in the game itself, will we see 2.5? I highly doubt unless that furniture guy or that mattress guy bets not once, not twice, but 3 times. Then we might see some type line movements or significant better B-dub comes out and just lays the wood on something. Then I think we can see some kind of a drastic line movement. But I really don't. But I always tell people on the Super Bowl, if you're going to go and do a Vegas sports book or your New Jersey book and all that, bet early and have bet numbers because those ticket writers go through a lot of hassle and they're going through a lot of details now, especially with masks and stuff like that. So I always tell people bet early, especially on Super Bowl, and especially on prop bets because some books shut them down at midnight on Saturday. So you may think, I'll get up early on Sunday, grab my coffee, grab my donuts, and start doing my prop bets. And you log on or you go to your book and all that, and half of them are turned off already because they don't want to deal with all the timer issues during the Super Bowl. So I would always just say on Super Bowl Sunday, try to get all your wagers in early.
Oh, well, there you go. So no advantage, huge advantage if you're going to wait to bet unders on the prop side because you don't think it's going to move that much from Saturday to Sunday.
On the prop side, yes. I think the unders are, I would say, try to wait because let's face it, everything bets over on all prop bets, especially the player prop bets because if you're a $10, $20, or $100 bettor, you want to bet over on everything because that makes the excitement. You're going to bet the over on Mahomes touchdown passes or Tom Brady touchdown passes or Leonard Fournette a first rushing over because that's what you want to see. It just like betting a Monday Night Football game.
Yeah, and that's what I was trying to get at because I've seen some better numbers on Saturday on the props than I did on Sunday, but maybe that's just because it was the books I was looking at and it wasn't a general rule. I would say at least by Sunday morning, maybe bet it. And I think there's going to be some bigger money hitting those prop unders right before the game. Does that make sense?
Oh, I agree. The big money on unders will come in on Saturday, late Saturday night and early Sunday. That's when the unders come in, because right now all the Joe Public, and you'll get some sharp action on overs right now, but normally on Super Bowl prop bets and even the AFC NFC Championship under money always comes in on props late Saturdays and on Sundays.
Yeah, because the apps too. People don't want to wait too long. Yeah, I think with the apps, some of the money's kind of come in on Friday and Saturday, rather than just on Sunday when people used to have to get just tickets. They're kind of preparing already, right?
Yeah.
So
not that much Friday, because people are usually betting all day Friday, all day Saturday. But like I said, Saturday, I always tell people when money starts coming in on either prop bets or big games, usually when those last 5 o'clock games of NBA, NHL, baseball, whatever, or 6 o'clock after those games tip off on Saturdays, that's when the Sunday action starts rolling in.
All right, well, let's get into some of the crazy props that you're going to be offering. I'm excited to hear what's new for this year, or some of the fun stuff that you put out there, Raphael.
I've done a lot of COVID ones, so that was what I wanted to. Because let's face it, it's on everyone's mind and stuff. I think that's what people are going to be witnessing during the commercials. I mean, one of my favorite prop bets was, will the M&M characters on their Super Bowl commercial have masks on? Yes or no? That was one of the ones. What will be said first? Mask or coronavirus during the telecast. So I really dove into that one. Will we see a Moderna or a Pfizer vaccine commercial, yes or no? So I kind of wanted to dive into stuff like that, just because, I mean, let's face it, it's still on people's minds and stuff. So I went a little bit crazy on that one. Then, of course, how many times will Belichick's name be mentioned? I mean, that's a real popular bet. So that was something you could probably see. I like this one. What will be said first, Super Bowl MVP or Super Bowl rings? Just because Tom Brady has multiple ones, and let's face it, Baby Goat was the MVP last year. So what's going to be said first?
I'd go with rings, just off the top of my head without looking into it.
You could get 3-1 if you say Super Bowl rings.
Yeah, because MVP, they might not mention it until later. I don't know. I think just like Belichick, they're probably not going to be. Nance and Romo's not going to be able to resist. I think actually I did bet Belichick. Unfortunately, it went up to minus 300 now in some books. I bet it at minus 170. So, I mean, it's one I'd still. I mean, put a little bit on if you want to win a bet. I just think over 1.5 times they're going to say Belichick. How is Romo going to contain himself when he's played against Belichick so many times? And it's going to be that huge comparison that we're dealing with all year. Was it Brady? Was it Belichick? Now everyone's trashing Belichick. Well, you're going to hear a little bit more about Belichick. So, especially when the guy was just in almost half the Super Bowls the last 20 years.
Yeah, you're right. And one thing I went stressful, just because you know me, I love the horses and I love doing head-to-head matchups. So I did a lot of head-to-head commercial matchups this year. Last year, I think I only had 3 or 4. This year, I think I have close to 10. Like, what commercial will be shown first? Chipotle or Bud Light Original? What commercial? Frito-Lays or M&M's? So I went to that one. I like how many commercials. Will a cat be in it? Just because I have 2 cats and I'm sure they're going to be watching it with me. So I have over under 2.5.
Right. Okay. Well, I like that. And you got me thinking about the mask one a little bit too. With all the coronavirus, I wonder if they're going to try to avoid saying it, because it's just, I almost think that people are just so done with it. They just don't want to be reminded of it. And it's just, I don't know. They will say mask. I'm just wondering if they say coronavirus. I'm going to have to take a look at that one and think about that one a little harder, buddy. But yeah, thanks for that. And we did talk about COVID props. I think it was the last time I had you on, that or the time before. And so thank you for putting some of those up. That's really cool. And
then I've been telling you, cross sports has just been huge for all the books and stuff like that. People love betting the NBA with the Super Bowl prop bets. I did a couple ones with UFC on Saturday. total KOs in the whole UFC card versus total field goals made in the Super Bowl. So people love cross sports, so I tried to put out a little bit more on that one. I know Westgate does a lot of them. They do really good work. But Jeff over there does all the golf ones with head-to-head matchups, and people love those ones. I think that's probably getting more and more action year after year. And I've been telling people, I've been in this industry behind the counter in Vegas, not behind the screen at Doc Sports for over 20 plus years. I remember back in the day when I was at Caesar's Palace in 97, where maybe we would take 10% action on prop bets and 90% was side and total. And it just grows year after year. This year we're projecting anywhere between like 35 to 40% on props and the rest of it on side and total. So I would not be shocked in a couple of years. It's almost 50-50.
All right. Well, that's cool. It's growing, and that's a lot of fun, man. So interesting stuff there. I would look at maybe the Masters one if you got a Masters cross prop with like the Super Bowl MVP or something. And I guess the reason it is because I don't want to be distracted by the NBA during the Super Bowl. Maybe the UFC, and I would guess the KOs are juiced on that one. I don't know.
Last time I checked, it was minus 150. But the last, I think, UFC event, there was only 3 KOs, and there's only one heavyweight fight, and that's the main event. So should be interesting.
All right. Well, there you go. And we'll see how many field goals they go for. And let's just say field goals hasn't been something that's been working too well for some of these coaches in these championship games. And Buffalo is like, oh, great. You're gonna get down to the 5-yard line and kick a field goal. Congratulations. That's going to be great against Kansas City. So there's been a lot of strange coaching decisions there. So I wonder if they're going to do that again in the Super Bowl. We'll see. But I think there's going to be a first score field goal. I don't think that there's going to be a lot of field goals. That's kind of the way I look at it. Well, let me ask you this. What are some of the props that the books profit off the most? And what are some of the props that the books gets burned on the most?
Well, anytime there's an MVP that's not a quarterback, it's always a winning day, a winning prop bet for the books. Alternate point spread prop bets are usually good for the books as well, just because, let's face it, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan and you can get and you think, I don't want the 3 points, I think they're going to blow them out, you can take the minus 7.5 or plus 230, plus 240. I don't have it in front of me right now. So people look like that all the time. So alternate point spreads and alternate totals are really good cash cows for the casinos. Any of those ones, the exact score is always a money cow for the casinos. And anytime they say, yes, you could parlay these props, it's just like taking candy away from the baby. And I know Westgate does a lot of it. William Hill would have certain pages that you can parlay prop bets, and you should get a free buffet. No buffets anymore, but maybe a free hot dog at the stand if you want to parlay Super Bowl prop bets, because that's just. But that's always a cash cow. And anytime there's overtime or a defensive penalty, the books are just shaking their heads, saying, "Well, let's start paying out tickets." Let's face it; those odds are really, really good. Will there be an overtime? Will there be a defensive touchdown? People always bet that just because the numbers, the lines are always good plus monies, and they're just shooting for the fence. So when that happens, the one thing I can always remember when the Chicago Bears were in the Super Bowl and Devin Hester ran back a touchdown.
Oh, yeah.
I still have cold chills paying out tickets like that, because everyone was plus money. I mean, there was so much $10, $20, $40. So anytime you see those kind of weird stuff that happens in the Super Bowl, safety, the books just shake their head and just say, "Hey, congratulations, bettors, you got us today."
Oh, man, I love Devin Hester. As a Bears fan, that was such an exciting time. It's too bad we had Rex Grossman.
Did he have a 23 jersey, too? I mean, that's just – I'm not a biggest Bears fan, but I grown up in Chicago, so I was a big Bulls fan and Cubs fan, and my 2 favorite players were 23, Ryan Sandberg and Michael Jordan. Mm-hmm. And then Devin Hester comes into the Bears, and what's his number? 23 as well.
Same for me. The Bears, and they're still miles away from football, but we'll always have number 23, baby. And that was an exciting time, but obviously Peyton Manning showed up afterwards, and the Colts defense showed up, and the Bears really showed that they were very fraudulent on offense that Super Bowl in 2006. So it's been that long. Let's get away from the Chicago Bears and get into some bets then, my man. Coin toss, I don't play it. It's against my principle to play any negative EV bets unless, unless I have some sort of an edge, then in my mind it'd be a positive EV bet, obviously. So, or in my calculation, if I can calculate it. But coin toss, I'm not going to play. But I would say that books should offer plus 100 on these coins, because I think that just showing that to people would go a long way, wouldn't it?
I agree. I mean, I don't understand how, including our book alone, don't tell my bosses. But yeah, why put minus 120, minus 110, or whatever on it? Just do even money both ways. And if someone cashes a tick, I mean, move it open it up at even money. And if someone takes tails never fails a lot and put it back down to minus 130, plus 110, I think there should be a plus money on the board on the coin toss, no matter what.
Yeah, and look at how far that would go, because so many people just come in to bet the Super Bowl, and then they might come in back to bet, next football season. Maybe they're going to bet baseball too. They see that, they're like, well, that book's cool. They know that the odds are, there's no value on betting anything minus 105, 102. So there you go. I mean, to put no juice on.
I agree with you on that one.
All right, my man. Well, let's move on then. And I'm doing that first score field goal. And I think in my idea of it, I'm doing plus 500 on Tampa, plus 400 on Kansas City, is that the correct price is about plus 165 that I figured out that a field goal is going to happen. But I think there's just going to be some jitters. No one's going to want to throw that first interception. And the red zone defense has showed up in the playoffs for both of these teams. So I'm going to play that one. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
I agree on that one. That's one of the ones I was looking at. I'm going to throw a wrench into you. And like I said, I'm going to go back to the cross sports. I love this one. Manchester City versus Liverpool goals versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers touchdowns. Give me the GOAT, Tampa Bay touchdowns. Give me the pick at minus 130. I think that's, again, I'm leaning towards Tampa Bay on this one. I think they win the game, so I think we're going to see a lot of touchdowns on that one. So unless for some odd reason Liverpool decides to throw up a 7 spot or an 8 spot and Manchester goes with them, then I'll be biting my nails while I watch the Super Bowl.
Well, so the prop is how many touchdown passes to final score of, or how many points Liverpool puts up? Is that it?
The goals versus those two versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers touchdowns.
Okay, so like a 3. If they get 3 goals, you're kind of getting up there, right? 3 or 4. It sounds like. Okay. Well, Liverpool I hear is a good defense, so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to score a ton of penalties, but it sounds like you're taking that one, so I like that. I'll give the next one, and here's one that's probably. Here's what I think about this one, and I don't know if this is negative EV, but besides the point, I got Clyde Edwards-Helaire at plus 1,300 to score the first touchdown. Now, I know that there's a lot of players on both of these teams, but running backs score a lot more frequently in general in football than any other player. And I looked at plus 13. I thought that was a bit juicy to take. I thought I've seen plus 400s for this prop. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's juicy. I mean, and I totally agree with you about I think the running backs are going to be huge on both sides. So I like that prep bet. And one of the ones that I really like is Leonard Fournette over 3.5 receptions in the Super Bowl, just because of screen pass, Tom Brady's being rushed, dump it to the running back. I think Leonard Fournette is going to be very active in the running game and in the passing game. So I totally agree with you on both sides. That one. And I that was one of my bigger ones, was Fournette over 3.5. I gave that out last podcast. So we're in complete agreement on that, my man. Good stuff. And on the other side of the coin, Leonard Fournette is plus 1,100. You can throw a little bit on that too to score the first touchdown if you like. There's a couple other small ones I like, but you only need to hit one of them. So that's a fun one. That's a fun Super Bowl prop to play. I got real excited when I hit 25-1 last year on Mahomes. That thing closed at like 14-1. So I have to play it again. We're gonna see where we can go with that one. Here's one I didn't give out yet. I'm gonna go Mecole Hardman under 2.5 receptions, and I'm paying minus 133 here, but I don't care. Too many weapons. Too many. He might even be used in the running game like he was last. But you also are probably getting Sammy Watkins back, and he's going to overstep him.
I don't know if DeMarcus Robinson's going to come back, but you have a lot of receptions with Clyde Edwards-Helaire that's healthy now. I think I don't even know if he's going to get 3 targets, much less 2.5 receptions there, Raphael.
Yeah, with all those weapons coming back, and I think Watkins will play in this game. So I agree with you. I mean, they're just going to have so many weapons on the field. You're right. I wouldn't be shocked if he doesn't even get targeted 3 times. And I'm going to go with you on something else. The Super Bowl MVP. I know it's a long shot. You were talking about your Mahomes ticket last year. Tight end is 8-1. You have some really big names at tight end, and we all know what the tight end at Kansas City has done so far throughout the whole playoffs. No one has been able to stop Travis Kelce. So what if he has like 2 or 3 touchdown passes or has just a really good game? I know they'll probably give it to Patrick Mahomes if that's the case, if he catches 3 touchdown passes, but 8-1 for a tight end, and who knows if Gronkowski goes off on a Super Bowl. I'll take that 8-1 long shot.
No, that's not bad. Yeah, I like the way you're thinking because I was on the Tyreek Hill side, and I know it's really public. And, the quarterbacks are just not properly priced. Mahomes is like -110. Brady's +240. And, yeah, they mostly go to quarterbacks. And if Tampa wins, then, yeah, maybe it's Brady, right? But just like in the college football national championship with Devontae Smith, Tyreek Hill's that other guy that can be explosive. And I'm not sure how much of a fluke it was when he did get 200 yards because now you got Tampa. They can't guard him one-on-one. And their safeties are banged up. So think about that. Normally I fade the best receivers in these props on both sides, and I always go with the second best receiver on the over. Right now I'm just seeing how I don't know how they're going to stop Tyreek Hill. As long as the weather is okay and not too windy. I like this one, man. So you're kind of on I hope one of us win it. Let's just put it that way.
I hope so too.
All right, let's move on to the next one. Well, I have Fournette over 27 receiving yards, and so that's just kind of piggybacks with what you're saying. Tom Brady to White happened a ton in his Super Bowls, right? White was old Badger, fantastic guy for the Patriots. Made some huge plays in some huge games. And now he's got Fournette catching passes. He caught 4 passes in all the 4+ passes, at least 4 in every single playoff game. So I'm thinking that he's also going to get the yards. So I like him over the receptions and the yards. But I'm going to, on the other side, take Ronald Jones over 34.5 rushing yards, and that's close to even -110, -114, whatever they're showing. I'm going to go a little bit bigger on this one because I just think they're going to use Ronald Jones. The guy deserves it. He's been huge for Tampa over the years, and he's just going to be the guy getting the runs, and Fournette's going to get the passes, man. That's my thoughts.
Yeah, I agree. Those are really good stuff. People always ask me, what about defense and stuff like that? What do you like? I like first turnover of the game. Come on. I mean, I know it's -160, but interception. Tom Brady has shown that his dead ducks have been flying around, so it would not shock me if he throws a pick. I just don't see fumble coming up early at +160 or no turnover game. I'll lay the wood of -160 for interception because we all know Patrick Mahomes going to gun it around as well, so we could see interceptions from both quarterbacks. But first turnover, I'm going to take interception. I'll lay to -160. I think the lowest I've seen was -145.
Yeah, that's a good one, and I've heard more and more about that one. So I'm going to shop that one myself a little bit after this and see what's out there. Next one, total players to have a passing attempt. Now, this is probably a bad bet when it comes to normal football games, but this is not a normal football game. This is the Super Bowl, and these coaches are just dying to come up with schemes and plays and trickness. 2.5 plus 150. I just need the kicker to drop the kick and throw it, some terrible throw. I could use if maybe an end around doesn't work. Maybe the guy, Tyreek Hill, Hardman, whoever it is, throws the ball. And of course, all these gadget plays that the Patriots used to work. Maybe Bruce Arians looks. Tom Brady understands those plays. Tom Brady used to catch a few passes on the Patriots, if you remember. Plus 150, I'm taking it, man. Do you have any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I like that one. Just because it's the plus 150. I mean, if there was maybe like 120 or even plus 110, I might, just scram, but try to find something else that had a little bit more value. But that plus 150 seems juicy on that. And when you were speaking, I was actually writing that one down because that's the one I'm going to probably look at as well. That's a nice price to get.
All right. Do you have any other cross sport plays that you're playing?
Those are the only ones that I dove into. I wanted to take maybe Joel Embiid some prop bets, but for him, like his back issues and all that, I didn't want to waste money that just in case someone doesn't play. Then I made that bet, and it's kind of wasteful. So I just kind of laid low. Last year I did a whole bunch of Zion Williams prop bets. He had a big day on Super Bowl. I think he had 5 dunks. I remember the prop bet was 3.5 dunks over something that it was an easy cash cow. So this year, I kind of laid low on the NBA just because of who knows if these games are even going to play stuff. So I kind of laid low a little bit on the NBA ones. I mean, there was a couple ones I wanted to dig around with. I liked the Denver Nuggets first quarter points versus Leonard Fournette rushing yards. I like Leonard Fournette. I think he's going to have a nice Super Bowl. So I was going to lay the 13.5 with him, with Denver Nuggets first half points, just because they have to play the Lakers tonight. So and then they play, I think, Friday. So how exhausted they might be on Sunday's game. So I thought that was kind of an interesting one to look at.
All right. Well, there you go. The last one I'm going to do is Chris Godwin under 5.5 receptions, and it's at plus 100 that I found it. He hasn't had over 5 receptions since week 12, which was ironically against Kansas City.
I'm just going to say against Kansas City.
Well, here's the thing. They're way behind. I don't know if they're going to get way behind again. And I mean, Kansas City really let their foot off the gas. I mean, allowing all the back doors and points in the fourth quarter there. But the funny thing, I know I'm looking at Tyreek Hill. I'm not taking him over his 95 yards or as him as an MVP because of just that game. I'm looking at it because of the true matchups. He's not going to get 200 yards in the first quarter, but I think he's going to get 100 yards in the whole game. But for this one, it just doesn't happen that much, and I think that they know that he's a weapon. But there's also a lot of other weapons. I mean, you still got Gronk there that was playing a lot less before. You have Brait. He's healthy, and he was not healthy before. Obviously, Antonio Brown's back, Scotty Miller, Evans. Too many pass catchers, man. 5.5? Yeah, I'm going under.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, and then with Tampa, I mean, he's got so many options as well with the 2 tight ends formation that Tampa does. I agree on that one.
All right, well, cool. Let's move on to a little college basketball then. We have, and this is obviously for Saturday, and we won't want to leave you hanging for Saturday. Florida versus LSU. And LSU should be about -1-ish, and the total is going to be pretty high, around 159. Would you like to go first?
I'll go first just because lately I've been looking to fade LSU. I mean, I think they lost 4 out of 5. I mean, I can just close my eyes and remember them at home where Bama just waxed at them. They put up 105 points against them. I totally agree with you. I would not be shocked if this totals maybe 161 or something around there. I know Florida's not the same team, but I'm looking to fade LSU. I don't like the way they did. Didn't like the way they played against Alabama. Was on Wednesday at Alabama. I'm looking to fade this team. They had some really good wins. And LSU beat them, or they lost them once already. Was it 83-79 last time? I'm looking to fade them. I like the Gators in this spot.
Well, these two teams usually play each other tough, but Florida is going to win this game. And I'm glad they took their massive dump on Wednesday against South Carolina, where they only scored 1 point in the last 6 minutes and 37 seconds in that game. Killed the over, and they lost outright to a very bad defense at home. Well, they're going to go on the road a little bit pissed off. They're a good road team. LSU, according to KenPom's, got the better offense, ranking 9th. Florida's is number 20th, while Florida has the much better defense, ranking 50th, to LSU's 139th. Florida's the better shooting team, 47.4%. LSU's at 46%. LSU had a slight edge in rebounding the ball, but guess what? They lost Darius Days versus Texas Tech, and it showed bad when they played Alabama. Alabama, they had 26 offensive or total rebounds to Bama's 41. And so Bama really out-rebounded them, and that was huge. And I think Days being out is really going to affect them, being their lead rebounder. And I'm not sure the line's going to say this right away. There's going to be some sharper people coming in, and I think you better hit this in the morning. But I give Florida the advantage there, so we are on the both sides there. I'm going to play Florida. I mean, I'm sure it's not, I don't think it'll get past 3, but you're going to get under 3. Right, it might even open up LSU -1, like I said earlier. So
yeah, it's an early. I shouldn't say early. It's a 1 p.m. Was it Central Eastern or 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time game? So it's not a late game. So you won't see that late line movement if it was a 4 o'clock game or a 5 o'clock ESPN game. But go back and watch how Florida played West Virginia on the road, and that's why I want to fade LSU on this one. West Virginia was I think 11th ranked coming into that game, and Florida just controlled the tempo throughout the whole second half. I don't know what kind of screaming they got at halftime, but they controlled the tempo. And I loved how they played against Georgia on the road. They're a really, really good road team. They had some really good road wins. So I agree with you on that one. I'm looking to bet on this one. I would not be shocked if Florida just dominates this game.
Oh, fantastic. Good we have agreement there. Let's move on to the next one. Well, the final one that you and I are going to cover, Kansas versus West Virginia. West Virginia is going to be laying about 2 points. The total is 142. I'll get started here. These teams played each other once at Kansas, where West Virginia lost the game, and they lost it from three-point land. They were shooting about 35% to Kansas's 43%. Since that game, West Virginia kind of found, or no, they didn't find anything. They did better. They found their game until they lost their best rebounder in Oscar Tshiebwe. And that sucked for a while, but they've had 6 or 7 games to kind of make some adjustments. Looking at the stats and how they match up any weaknesses, they're pretty close to each other. Kansas actually, for some reason this year, has the slightly better defense. Usually it's West Virginia, and West Virginia has a slightly better offense, and usually it's Kansas. So I find that weird, but I think the Stars are going to win this game. You have Derek Culver, you have Miles McBride for West Virginia, you have Jalen Wilson and Marcus Garrett, for Kansas, and I think this should be close to a pick'em type game, and I think maybe West Virginia's -2, but I'm going to give the edge to West Virginia, and I haven't decided if I'm going to bet this. And the reason that is because they are just a better three-point shooting team in general, and they're at home. Now, my concern is over the last 3.5 years, they only beat Kansas once. So I am concerned about that. I want to hear what your thoughts are.
I agree that they only beat Kansas once, but let's face it, this is a totally different college basketball year. If we had a selection show right now, we might not even hear Kentucky's name, North Carolina's name, and Duke could be in a double-digit seedings. So this is a totally different year. I love West Virginia's spot, and I'm looking to bet the over in this one. Last time Kansas was on the road, they gave up 80 points to a Tennessee team that sometimes can struggle shooting the J. West Virginia had put up, 80 points against Florida, 88 against Texas Tech at home. I'm looking for West Virginia. I'm hoping I can get -2. I thought this number would probably be around 3. I think I'm hoping the total is around 142 because, like I said, I'm looking to bet this one over. And I know Kansas defense really good. They held the Kansas State to 50 points their last game, but that's always a tight rivalry game, so that doesn't really concern me. And I know when they played the Horned Frogs, it was such a snooze fest. I thought I was watching Air Force back in the 90s play college basketball. But that doesn't scare me. I like West Virginia. This is going to be a big win. And if there was fans in the stands, they would run on the court after this game because I think they beat Kansas.
All right. Well, there you go. And so my lean is to your play. I'll take it, man. Let's get under 3 then. All right. Let's see if we can get it closer to the pick'em. That would be fun. And the over. You got me thinking about the over. So I'll take another look at that. Well, is there any other games, props, or anything else to throw out there?
No, like I said, this is it's a big week for sports gambling and all that. And I always tell people, just because it's Super Bowl Sunday or it's Super Bowl weekend be careful. Don't bet what you don't have. Don't go crazy just because you have less than 6 people coming over because of COVID issues, and you just want to bet all day and drink all day. Just enjoy yourself, enjoy the game, be safe, and play safe. Like I said, don't just because it's the biggest game of the year on TV doesn't mean you have to kill your bankroll. Bet smart and don't bet what you don't have.
Oh, 100%. That's the best advice that anyone can give. And where could our listeners find your great information?
You can find me on Twitter at VSI.Sports. You can find me on Instagram at Raphael Esparza. You can also find me at DocSports.com and mybookie.ag.
Make sure you check out Raphael, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, my man. Had a blast talking to the man that makes the lines. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Take it easy. Enjoy the game.
All right, well, that was fun. Now it's time to get into a little more college basketball for your weekend. And we're going to go with Friday, George Mason versus Dayton. Dayton is -7. The total on this game is 130. This Dayton team is coming off one of their worst performances this year versus Duquesne. The Dukes couldn't even miss a shot. I mean, I think they're shooting over 60% the whole first half, while Dayton started 0 for 11 from three-point land. I mean, they couldn't buy a basket here, but Dayton, I mean, they ranked 26th in shooting percentage, 48%. They shoot the three pretty well normally at 35%. George Mason, they're a bad team. They only ranked 214th in shooting percentage this year, and they didn't even have a hard non-conference schedule. On defense, on the road, they allow 46.6% shooting percentage. It's going to be a 7-8 point spread. I'm laying it here. We're going to take Dayton -7 for 1.5 stars.
Kip, I reckon you know a lot about cyberspace. You ever come across anything like time travel?
The next game on Friday, we discussed on another podcast over there with Adam at ATS. The Maryland versus Penn State. Penn State's going to be laying about 2 points. The total is 144. So just want to say that both these teams are fade teams, and I do specialize in the Big Ten, but it's just a very ugly one here. Penn State's big man, John Harrar, has been playing very well, but if he's going to get in foul trouble, Penn State becomes very small. Maryland has a large advantage inside where they shoot 53% from 2-point field goals, ranking 11th in near proximity points. Penn State ranks 325th in defending the two. So that's where Maryland's got an advantage right there. But Maryland, if they can't stop the three, that's going to be bad. Penn State's great at shooting the three. I mean, this has live betting situation all over it. If Penn State's hitting the three, I mean, they could literally win this game at home. So wanted to mention that. It's going to be a high variance game, in my opinion, from the total and from the side. So right now, I have this game at Pick'em at 73-73. But if there's any more information that comes out, or if I find any more angles, it will be in my article that comes out on Friday and our free picks article that comes out on Saturday. Let's get into Saturday. We got Syracuse versus Clemson. Clemson's going to be laying about 1 or 2 points. The total is 134. Syracuse plays faster. Clemson plays slower. Clemson's going to pick up the pace if they are hitting shots, but if they're not, if they don't hit shots, they're fine playing slow. I mean, they're a great defensive team. The teams that beat Clemson shoot the three very well, extremely well. That's their weakness. They can't guard the three, but the good news is that Syracuse is bad at shooting the three. Syracuse ranks 244th in the nation at 31.4%. They also struggle facing teams with a good defense on the road. They got beat bad by Virginia, North Carolina. Syracuse, what do you give up on the road? 80 points per game. This is a play on Clemson. Try to get it under the 3. You know, it's supposed to be around 2. That's where Ken Pom has it anyway. We're going to make a play on Clemson.
Have you found Jesus yet, Doug?
I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for him, sir.
Let's move on to Big Ten country. We have a big one with Wisconsin versus Illinois. Illinois is going to be laying about 4 points. The total is 138. Both of these teams didn't improve much from last year, but both of these teams know that this is a very important game, and they are in the kind of the stretch of their season here now that it's February. It's time to start thinking about getting into the tournament here, or at least getting a good seed in the Big Ten tournament. So Wisconsin, they played Illinois once last year, lost by 1 point at home. But Illinois' weakness this year, their forwards, really weak. We talked about this before, but their center is very strong. The good news for Illinois, Wisconsin is soft down low. They're a terrible rebounding team. I think they rank 272 in the nation in offensive rebounds. So Illinois is going to have a big advantage there. Potter and Ravers, they hang around the three-point line too much. And if Wisconsin is just another hot and cold three-point team, it's kind of how Penn State beat them. They got hot from three. Wisconsin didn't get any rebounds. Penn State did, and then when Penn State came to Wisconsin, they were cold, and Wisconsin did hit the three a little bit. So, I mean, that's how Wisconsin is. But if Wisconsin's not hitting the three, they're going to get smashed this game because Illinois, their guards are too good, and Cockburn down low, they don't have an answer for Cockburn. Cockburn's going to get his points in the paint. So, Illinois just average points, 10 points over Wisconsin. Now, what worries me is if Wisconsin's a dog here, they're a little bit better of a dog. I'm looking 3 or 5. If I'm going to bet Illinois, I'm going to want a 3. But if this thing gets past 5, I'm going to start looking towards Wisconsin. Not sure if I'll play them at 5.5 or anything. But that's my thoughts in the game. I'm not sure what direction it's going to go. Ken Pom has 4, but you know how the line moves. There's going to be a lot of play on Saturday. So that's what we're looking at. Final game that we're going to talk about for Saturday, Michigan State versus Nebraska. Nebraska +9, the total is 147. This could be a very ugly game for Nebraska coming off a 27-day COVID pause. And for most of that time, their team did not get to practice together. Michigan State had their own COVID pause, and when they came back 10 days ago, they got beat really bad. They're on a 3-game losing streak, as a matter of fact. They haven't won since early January. Now, Michigan State is in danger of missing the NCAA tournament with Tom Izzo. Can you freaking believe that? Well, having only 2 Big Ten wins and 7 losses is a big part of that. The Duke win did not age well, did it? But in this spot, Michigan State's going to want to blow this team out. It's their slump buster, and they're going to want to come out shooting. Nebraska is the 10th fastest paced team, and they're not good. That means that's just going to give more possessions to Michigan State to score more points. I like Michigan State in the first half for a couple stars, and I definitely like them at the end of the game for 1.5 stars to 2 stars as well. So I have State winning this game 82-68, and hopefully you can get under the 10, but Ken Pom has it pretty big at 9. They actually did factor in the COVID pause for this, and they haven't been doing that. So I'm wondering if Ken Pom's going to start doing that a little bit more. Let's go right into betting Michigan State in the first half for 2 stars and 1.5 stars for the full game. My friends, if you have any questions, please reach out to the Odds Breakers. Tomorrow, check out our show. It's going to be on 1 p.m. Eastern. Better Odds Sports Betting with Kyle Hunter. Chris Felica from ESPN is going to be on, and we're going to give out some more props. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your week. Have a blast watching the games this weekend, and go get some winners.